You know the feeling. It's Sunday night, you map out an ambitious new schedule, and you are completely ready to conquer the week. But by Wednesday afternoon, the planner is blank, the gym shoes are gathering dust, and the entire routine has completely stalled out. When this happens, it is incredibly easy to turn the blame inward. You assume you lack willpower or that you're simply too lazy to stick with anything long-term. But your intentions are actually sound. The issue is the invisible machinery you are using to build those habits. The standard approach you've been taught relies on mechanisms that actively fight against your success. Failing to stick to a routine is not a moral failing or a character flaw. It is simply the expected outcome of running on a broken engine. The central flaw of that engine is motivation. We treat motivation like a reliable fuel, but it is just a feeling. And like any feeling, it is volatile, coming and going entirely based on your mood. It surges when the stakes are not existent. You feel incredibly driven late at night while lying warm in bed. But when the 6 a.m. alarm rings and the floor is freezing cold, that drive vanishes instantly. This chart tracks how that feeling behaves over a typical week. Notice the erratic spikes and the sudden, steep crashes to zero. Relying on this to maintain a habit is like hoping the weather will never rain. You cannot predict it, and you certainly cannot control it. Because this emotional fuel is so unreliable, highly consistent people stop trying to harness it entirely. They build routines that don't require feeling inspired in the first place. To understand how they do that, we have to look at a biological bottleneck in the human brain. Over the course of a single day, you are forced to make thousands of tiny choices: what to wear, what to eat, which email to prioritize. Psychologists refer to this as decision fatigue. Every single choice, no matter how insignificant it seems, siphons off a fraction of your mental energy. By the time evening rolls around, your rational brain is completely tapped out. With your defenses down, the impulsive part of your brain easily seizes control, demanding immediate comfort and the path of least resistance. The individuals who consistently hit the gym after work or read before bed aren't dipping into a deeper well of willpower. They have just arranged their lives to drastically limit the number of choices they have to make. As author James Clear notes, we rarely achieve the lofty heights of our ambitions. Instead, we default to the structural integrity of our daily systems. The way to solve this cognitive drain is through environmental design. You engineer your physical space to do the heavy lifting for you. If you want to exercise in the morning, you set your gym clothes on the floor right next to your bed. If you want to read more, you place the book directly on your pillow. By setting up the cue in advance, you are pre-making the decision while your mental energy is fully charged. Later, when you are exhausted, the action requires zero willpower to initiate. Consistency happens when you arrange your surroundings so that doing the correct thing is literally the easiest option available. Even with a perfectly designed environment, there is a hidden vulnerability in any routine. That word is maybe. Telling yourself, maybe I'll do it later, feels incredibly safe. It tricks your brain into thinking you are still committed to the task, just slightly postponing it, rather than outright rejecting it. But every single time you delay an action, you actively wire a new neural pathway. You practice and reinforce the habit of waiting. To protect your rational brain, you have to look at this flowchart and strip away the middle ground. You force your choices into strict, binary parameters. Either it happens or it doesn't. Erasing the maybe option entirely removes the exact loophole that your comfort-seeking brain exploits when you are tired. To make these behaviors permanent, you have to stop chasing a finish line. Goals have a hard stop where you either win or lose. True permanence comes from adopting a repeatable identity. There is a massive psychological difference between telling yourself, I am trying to be consistent, and stating, I am a consistent person. One implies an ongoing struggle, while the other is simply who you are. To mathematically prove this identity to yourself every single day, you implement a rule called no 0 days. This means shrinking your target habit down to its absolute minimum viable action. One single push-up, reading one solitary sentence, drinking one glass of water. A target so microscopic it is physically impossible to fail. The heaviest resistance you will ever face is the exact moment of starting. By shrinking the starting line down to almost nothing, you guarantee that the engine turns over, allowing natural momentum to take care of the rest. Real consistency is rarely glamorous. There are no sudden overnight transformations, only the quiet, often invisible work of showing up day after day. This compounding interest curve shows exactly how that invisible work operates. For a long time, the line barely moves, but those frictionless, microscopic actions are building deep structural roots, eventually hitting an inflection point that yields exponential results. Enduring change does not require you to summon immense personal discipline or fight through exhaustion. It requires you to build a reliable machine that makes the right choices automatic. Stop waiting for a sudden burst of motivation. Pick one tiny 2-minute habit. Set up your environment to make it completely frictionless and execute it today. Start building your machine.